A kitchen in Kokomo, Indiana, 1964. October, just after supper. A mother pulls open the second drawer to the left of the sink and the whole thing clinks. No plastic organizer, no divider tray. Just a tangle of metal and wood and rubber shifting against bare pine. She reaches in without looking and finds exactly what she needs by touch alone. Every tool in that drawer earned its place. None of them cost more than $1. These are 15 tools that once lived in every kitchen drawer in America. Every one of them worked, and almost none of them survived. Number 15, the ice pick. A single steel spike driven into a turned wooden handle, 5 inches of sharpened steel. Every kitchen had one because every kitchen still relied on ice trays that froze into solid blocks inside the freezer compartment. The Townsend Ice Pick, 50 cents at the True Value Hardware. A mother gripped it overhand, drove it into the frost-free tray with 3 sharp strikes, and the block split clean. Chips scattering across the porcelain sink. The cold sting on the knuckles. A chunk of ice dropped into a glass of sweet tea on an August afternoon in Memphis. A different piece chipped off for the compress held against a child's swollen ankle. By 1980, the automatic ice maker and frost-free refrigerators had made the pick extinct. A generation of women who could gauge the exact size of an ice chip by the angle of the strike had no one left to teach. The freezer made its own ice now. Nobody asked whether the ice was better. It was just easier. The ice pick lived at the back of the drawer, but the tool shoved right beside it. The one she grabbed every single morning without a glance is something almost nobody under 50 has ever held. Number 14, the rubber jar gripper. A flat disc of vulcanized rubber, 5 inches across, 1/4 inch thick. Pressed against a stubborn jar lid, it gave the hand enough grip to twist open anything. The ones from the hardware store were plain red or beige, but the ones every mother actually used came free. From the State Farm agent, from the funeral home on Elm Street, from the Rexall Pharmacy, printed in white ink with a phone number and a business name that wore off within a year. The rubber never wore out. Press it against the lid of a Hellman's jar, one firm twist, and the seal popped. It was one of the most common promotional tools in the kitchen. Millions were given away by local businesses, though many were also bought in stores or saved from jar sealers. It cost nothing, weighed nothing, and never once failed. The jar gripper took care of lids. But when summer came around and the corn was boiling on the stove, a mother reached for something even smaller and stranger. Number 13, corn cob holders. Tiny double-pronged forks with small plastic handles shaped like miniature ears of corn, yellow with green husks, jabbed into each end of a steaming cob so small hands would not get burned. Sold in sets of 8 or 12 at Woolworth's, 15 cents a package. Some were plain stainless steel with no handles, just 2 tines and a flat shield. Kept loose in the drawer, rattling around beside the bottle opener. A child handed 2 of them before supper and told to press them in firmly. The prongs driven into the flat white end of an ear of silver queen corn. Butter running down to the holders, pooling on the plate. They cost almost nothing and turned an ordinary Tuesday into something a child remembered 40 years later. They are still widely sold in kitchen supply stores today, though many modern families now opt for corn off the cob or disposable alternatives. Number 12, the glass citrus reamer. A heavy piece of molded glass. A ribbed dome rising from a shallow saucer with a pour spout and a strainer ridge. Used to juice oranges by hand. Anchor hocking made the most common ones. Clear pressed glass, cold from the drawer, weighty as a paperweight. A halved sun-kissed Valencia orange pressed face down onto the dome and twisted. Pulp catching in the ridges. Juice pooling in the saucer. Seeds trapped at the rim. 2 oranges, 45 seconds, a full glass. About 5 to 8 cents an orange in 1962. Tropicana and Minute Maid made fresh squeezed feel old-fashioned. The juice aisle replaced the reamer, but no carton has ever matched the taste of a glass pressed 10 seconds before it was poured by a woman who thought nothing of the work. The reamer handled breakfast. But when a cake was in the oven and the house filled with the smell of vanilla, the tool she reached for next was barely a tool at all. Number 11. The cake tester. A thin, stiff wire, 6 inches long, with a small, round loop bent at one end for a handle. It did one thing. It told you when the cake was done, a nickel, at the 5 and dime. Or bent from a piece of wire coat hanger and kept forever. Slid into the center of a Duncan Hines yellow cake without leaving a mark. Batter clinging to the wire meant 5 more minutes. A clean wire meant pull it now. A mother holding that wire up to the light from the kitchen window, studying it the way a jeweler studies a stone. A toothpick replaced it eventually, but a toothpick breaks. A toothpick is disposable. The cake tester lived in that drawer for 30 years. It knew every birthday, every church potluck, every Saturday sheet cake that oven ever produced. 5 tools in, and everyone costs less than a quarter. Not one of them required a power cord, a battery, or an instruction manual. These were tools built for a woman who had no time to read a box because she was already cooking 3 things at once while checking arithmetic at the kitchen table. She fed a family of 5 every night without a search engine and without a single recipe video. She did not need to be told what she already knew. Number 10. The sardine key. A small flat metal key with a slot in the center, used to roll back the lid of sardine tins, corned beef cans, and potted meat. Sometimes attached to the bottom of the can itself. You bent back the thin metal tab on the can and slipped it through the slot. Then you turned. The strip of tin curled around the key like ribbon on a spool. King Oscar sardines packed in Norway. Underwood deviled ham. Armour Star corned beef hash. Mothers saved extras in the drawer because the factory tab snapped off half the time, and a backup key was the only thing between supper and a ruined can. The pull tab lid made it extinct. Nobody under 40 has ever rolled open a can of anything. The sardine key vanished not because it failed, but because the can it served was redesigned to make sure no one ever needed it again. That key disappeared because the product changed, but the next tool disappeared for a very different reason. The entire economy it belonged to collapsed. Number 9. The S&H green stamp scissors. A dedicated pair of scissors kept in the kitchen drawer and used for one purpose only. Cutting S&H green stamps from the perforated sheets handed out at the grocery store and the filling station. Sperry and Hutchinson green stamps. 10 stamps per dollar spent at the A&P, the Piggly Wiggly, the Shell station on Route 9. The sheets came in long, perforated strips. A mother sat at the kitchen table on a Wednesday night, cutting and licking and pasting stamps into the collector book. The scissors were never the good scissors. They were the second pair, slightly dull, permanently sticky from the adhesive. Full books redeemed at the Green Stamps catalog store for a toaster, a set of bath towels, a table lamp for the living room. It was a parallel economy built on loyalty and patience. A woman could furnish a spare bedroom one book at a time. S&H Green Stamps saw a drastic decline in the 1980s, with the program ultimately winding down and transitioning online by the late 1990s and 2000s. The scissors stayed in the drawer for years afterward, with nothing left to cut. Number 8. The Sand Hourglass Egg Timer. A small glass hourglass filled with fine white or pink sand, set beside the stove to time a 3-minute soft-boiled egg. Flipped once and watched. 2 glass bulbs joined at a narrow waist, standing about 4 inches tall in a small wooden frame. A child mesmerized by the silent pour through the neck, set on the counter beside 4 eggs trembling in a rolling boil. When the last grain dropped, the eggs came out. 3 minutes. Exactly. The smartphone timer now has 17 alarms, 4 ringtones, and a snooze button. She needed 1 hourglass and the patience to watch sand fall. That was enough precision for a generation that understood the difference between measurement and control. Number 7. The Melon Baller, a small stainless steel tool with a half-sphere scoop on each end, 1 large, 1 small. Used to carve perfect spheres of cantaloupe, honeydew, and watermelon. Echo or Foley stamped on the handle. Press, twist, pop. A perfect globe of pale green honeydew landing in a glass bowl. A church luncheon fruit salad. A bridge club dessert. A 4th of July picnic in the backyard. Each ball identical, glistening, arranged in a crystal dish on a white linen tablecloth. 30 cents at Woolworth's in 1963. Nobody needed perfect spheres of fruit. That was exactly the point. She made them because presentation was not a trend. It was a standard. Number 6. The wooden clothespins. Spring-loaded wooden clothespins pulled from the laundry line and dropped in the kitchen drawer. Used as bag clips for everything that needed sealing. The same clothespins that hung bedsheets to dry on Monday morning sealed the bag of Lay's potato chips on Monday night. Smooth birch wood, a small steel spring, teeth that bit down tight. A row of them clipped along the top edges of open bags in the pantry. 5 cents apiece at the 5 and dime. Plastic chip clips appeared in the 1980s. They cracked within a month. The clothespin lasted 50 years and never once needed replacing. She did not buy a separate tool for every problem when one tool she already owned worked for 12. There is something else happening inside that drawer that has nothing to do with cooking. None of these tools matched. They were not a set. They came from different decades, different stores, different hands. A bride carried the citrus reamer from her mother's kitchen wrapped in newspaper. The scissors came from a first apartment in 1961. The clothespins traveled from a farmhouse that no longer stands. That drawer was not organized. It was inherited, and she could find every piece by feel in the dark. Number 5. The Nutcracker and Pick Set. A hinged metal nutcracker and a set of narrow steel picks, kept in a small cloth bag or loose in the drawer, brought out every November. Diamond brand walnuts in the shell, 69 cents a pound at the A&P in 1965. The nutcracker set on the kitchen table over a spread of newspaper. The crack of the shell between the handles. A child watching the careful extraction with the thin pick, waiting to see if a whole half would come out intact. A bowl of mixed nuts on the coffee table from Thanksgiving through New Year's. Shelled walnuts in a resealable plastic bag replaced the entire ritual. Nobody cracks a nut at the table anymore. The skill is gone. The patience is gone. The newspaper spread is gone. What replaced it costs more per ounce, tastes less, and teaches a child nothing about the difference between effort and convenience. But the nutcracker came out only at the holidays. The next tool lived in that drawer every single day, and the sound it made is something no one who heard it has ever been able to forget. Number 4. The Rotary Hand Crank Egg Beater. A handheld beater with 2 interlocking metal blades turned by a small geared crank wheel. A wooden handle on the side held the body steady while the other hand cranked. A&J, Manufacturing or Turner and Seymour, stamped on the gear housing. The thin metallic wedge as the gears turned the blades. Egg whites climbing the beaters in stiff peaks. A child begging to turn the crank and being allowed 3 turns before spattering batter across the counter. Pancake mornings. Whipped cream for strawberry shortcake in June. $2.25 at the hardware store in 1962. The electric hand mixer killed it inside a decade. Faster, louder, requires no effort. But the sound of the old rotary beater in a quiet kitchen on a Sunday morning, that thin, high musical whir, is a sound that every child of the 50s and 60s carries somewhere behind the ribs. No appliance has ever made that sound. No appliance ever will. The egg beater was the loudest tool in the drawer, but the quietest one, the one that never made a sound at all, may be the one she reached for more than anything else. Number 3. The ball of kitchen twine. A cone of plain white cotton butcher's twine, pulled and cut as needed for trussing a chicken, tying a roast, bundling herbs, wrapping a package, or 100 other things no one had a name for. Sometimes kept in a small tin holder with a hole in the lid for feeding the string through. A mother wrapping it 3 times around a rolled pork loin and tying it with a knot she learned from her own mother's hands. Same twine tied the newspaper bundle for the Boy Scout paper drive. Same twine staked the tomato plants in June. 10 cents for a ball that lasted a year. There is no modern equivalent. Plastic wrap, rubber bands, twist ties. None of them do what twine did because twine was not a product. It was a material. A woman with a ball of twine and a paring knife could solve almost any problem in her house without leaving the kitchen. That kind of capability did not need to be advertised. It just sat in the drawer and waited. Twine held things together. But the next tool is the one no modern kitchen has managed to replace, no matter how many versions they sell, because the original was already perfect the day it was made. Number 2. The carbon steel paring knife. A short blade, 3 inches, maybe 4, wooden handle. Carbon steel that stained dark gray from onions and tomatoes and never looked clean again after the first week of use. The blade came razor sharp from the factory, sharpened on a small carborundum stone kept on the windowsill above the sink. The steel was softer than modern stainless. It took an edge in 6 strokes and held it through a full week of cooking. Peeled an apple in one long, unbroken ribbon, cored a tomato with a single twist. The handle darkened with years of grip until the wood turned nearly black. A stainless steel paring knife today costs $12. It resists staining. It photographs well in the package, and it has never once taken a proper edge. Her carbon steel knife cost 60 cents in 1960, stained on the first day, and cut better at year 20 than any blade on any store shelf right now. The industry did not improve the knife. They improved the appearance and quietly ruined everything that mattered about the blade. The paring knife could work alone, but the tool at the very front of the drawer, the one with the most wear, the one her fingers found first every single day without looking, that is the tool an entire generation can still feel in the palm of their hand if they close their eyes right now. Number 1. The church key. A flat piece of stamped steel about 4 inches long. A pointed triangular punch on one end for piercing cans. A rounded lip on the other end for prying off bottle caps. It was called a church key. And it lived in every kitchen drawer in America. Vaughan or Brown Manufacturing stamped on the side, or the ones with a Coca-Cola or Pabst Blue Ribbon logo pressed into the metal. The triangular point driven into the top of a can of high C fruit punch. 2 punctures, one to pour, one to let the air in. The small triangle of tin standing up from the rim. On the other end, the curved lip hooked beneath a bottle cap. One quick snap of the wrist upward. The cap pinging off the rim and spinning on the linoleum. A bottle of Dad's root beer on a Saturday afternoon. A can of Pet evaporated milk for the mashed potatoes. Every member of the family over the age of 10 knew exactly where the church key was by instinct. The pull tab can arrived in the early 1960s, invented by Ermal Fraze of Dayton, Ohio. Meanwhile, twist-off bottle caps had already been patented decades earlier, gaining widespread commercial adoption in the 1960s. By the early 1980s, the church key had nothing left to open. A tool that every American household used 5 or 6 times a day for decades vanished inside a single generation. Not because it stopped working, because the cans and the bottles were quietly redesigned until no one needed to reach for it again. Nobody asked the woman at the sink whether she minded. Nobody needed tits. The drawer just got a little lighter. And one morning, the church key was buried under a pile of takeout menus, and no hand reached in to find it again. That drawer is still there in a house somewhere. Maybe it does not slide open as smoothly as it once did. Maybe the twine is gone, and the church key has not been touched in 30 years. But somewhere in the back, there is a small tool with a wooden handle worn smooth by a woman's grip. And if you pull it out and hold it up to the light from the window, you can still see the mark where her thumb rested, the same place every single day for longer than most things in this world ever last.